Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 404th 404th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. But really, if you look at it, I've been waiting to do this for a little bit now. If you go to our Twitter at GeekVerseCast, it's now officially titled Travis and the GeekVerse. Jessica's has her baby. She's gone for a while. Taylor's preparing for a wedding. He's not checking Twitter. Kirklin's gone. I actually heard from Kirklin in 2 days. He could be dead. He usually drops memes. So now, for the next 3 weeks, it's Travis and the Geekverse. We are going to have lots of fun, and that's the first day of the fun. Like, isn't this the way it's meant to be? All they're loud, they get in the way. Me, chairman of Geekverse Gauntlet, two-time champion right now, world title, teams title, sports title soon. Kirkland, probably listen to this. Sorry, you're gonna have to lose. The best of the best. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited for the next 3 weeks. But yes, no, I will miss them to bounce my deals off and whatnot. But this one's coming a little bit early if you're watching live because I work later on tonight. That's how it works at the stats. Not looking forward to bike riding to work. It is just disgusting here in Kelowna. Like the amount of fires going on. Like you can't win. You got COVID going on. You got a mask up. You got fires going on. All this stuff. But luckily, I can report I did throw Taylor his bachelor party. He's alive. I didn't lose him. I have. You might be able to see in the video right there some welts from paintball. I got one on the back that's purple. It was, oh man, really bad. Somebody bought like a sniper barrel and used that. Those ones fucking hurt. I just got pelted in the back multiple times. And yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't fun. But alas, we are here. So everyone else is gone for the next 3 weeks. So as usual, I will be what I got. I got this newscast, probably do another newscast this week. I'm going to be releasing like a full-on schedule here soon as far as what I'm doing. Also, I'm going to be reviewing Suicide Squad. Green Knight should be happening in the next few days. I planned to have done it last week. I was so mad, so bummed, but they really need me at work. And it's one of those situations where, in that situation where if I get called in, whatnot, it's a lot of good money because I was not supposed to be working. So I took it. So that's why the Green Knight is working, because it's just flipped around. That works better for the family because I had to go in really early. So it will happen at some point. I might review Jungle Cruise here soon. I watched it, and if I don't, then I'll tell you next episode what I thought of it. But it's GeekVerse Podcast. Head down to the description below to find our Twitter, our Facebook to get our live links as far as when we're going live, what we're doing, our review feeds, any other news we may have. Like I said, the glorious Travis and GeekVerse. You gotta check that out. It's worth this beautiful mug on there. Check out our Discord where we have lots of interaction. We talked about the Venom 2 trailer today, and they're very mixed. So much like the rest of the internet, if you need that link, just hit us up because sometimes one the description does expire. If you really like what myself or the rest of the people have done in the past, head over to Patreon. You get exclusive ad-free early episodes. I should be this week recording my first 2 Dexter retrospectives. I just finished I'm just starting season 3. Did season 1, season 2, took a bunch of notes. Man, I'm really excited to talk about this because I've never reviewed them, and I forgot how much those first 4 seasons, how good they are, and how absolutely I love the show. Like, there's a reason that was my favorite show for a long time until it took a big nosedive. But Patreon, ad-free, exclusive. You get behind the scenes. I dropped a really fun behind the scenes last week, about 25 minutes, about some upcoming stuff as far as fall and some stuff we're doing with Patreon, how you can support us. Because literally, if you go over and join Patreon, you are creating new content starting in the fall. We'll be recording a bunch of content based on what we make over there. So a big thank you to everyone that supports us there. Check out our podcast network, 7 days a week, 8 shows now. You got a new show coming out. This is a walk through the multiverse from Joe, who's been on Ranger Alliance. As far as we cover Marvel and DC comics, he's been covering everything else as far as, Image, Dark Horse. I'm sure there's some other ones out there. I'm a scrub. But go check over there. Lots of fun stuff. I'm very excited to hear Marvel Alliance because that's going to be I actually have not talked to Brandon or Chris about the trailer. I woke up to 71 messages in the GUA chat, so they were popping off this morning, but I did not have time to check it because I still work later. And then later on this week, I'll be reviewing Suicide Squad, and check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network because I will not be on that review because they are literally reviewing Suicide Squad during Taylor's wedding, but it's going to be a combination of a bunch of GUA hosts doing that. So I'm a lot more excited to see Squad than I was before. I've always said this about James Gunn stuff where other than the first Guardians, I feel trailers never do it justice. And there was like some heart in the last trailer, but I always feel like it doesn't really encapsulate what James Gunn does best. So it's hard for me to get excited. Plus, I've always been like, isn't he just doing another Guardians? But I do worry that people have overhyped it of just being, it's so crazy. It's more bonkers than you could ever believe. We'll see. We'll see. I'm having a set at a nice level because I've not read actually reviews, I've just seen the reactions of them. So I'll be reviewing that. That'll be dropping Friday morning. I'm gonna see that Thursday. What work is not gonna call me in for that. Yeah, Green Knight. It's like, okay, I can push that one. Suicide Squad. No, it's I'm very, very excited. So let's get into this. So we're talking about a few things today. We're talking about Venom 2. We're talking about House of Gucci trailer. Oh my goodness. We're talking about Black Widow lawsuit potentially happening. And then we're talking about J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. So I have not talked about the Scarjo thing, but I'm going to talk about Venom 2 trailer first because I'm fresh off of that. So there's a few interesting things, and a big thank you to the patrons because they knew I was alone. They knew I'm, on starboard by myself, steering the ship. Nobody to whatever, to drop the anchor, all that sort of deal. I don't ride boats. I don't drive boats. Sail them, all that good stuff. Send me some good questions today, so I'm going to incorporate that. If you ever want to send in your question, head over to Patreon, join any tier. You get to do that. So Venom 2, yeah. So it's interesting. New trailer came out. There's a few angles I want to take this. New trailer came out. We knew it was coming out. She's usually doesn't know much information, but credit to her. Grace Randolph did put this out, and then Daniel RPK, some other scooper backed and stuff. So I knew it was coming. So that's why I had a feeling of like, did I do the newscast yesterday or this morning? So like, okay, let's see, just in case. And then it came. So this trailer, I think you guys know where I am on the Venom Sony Marvel universe. It's just not for me. And Maddie has a good question that I'm going to address after about that. Just watching this trailer, because I always say Venom 1 was a trick, right? It was all looking very serious, dramatic, not much humor in there. And then when you go on there's like a rom-com slant and there's lots of humor, and that's fine. It was like I'm not like trailer of like, or I'm not like Taylor who gets mad at Kevin Feige. Goes, oh, they keep changing them in the trailers. That's not right. No, I don't really care about that. They had to sell a movie. They did it, and lots of people liked that movie. I think what made 800 million, close to there. I remember my audience clapped, and I was like, "Oh man, this is how democracy falls." This trailer. It just kind of emphasizes everything I do not like. None of the, and this is where it's subjective, right? None of the humor is working for me. Now, some of the humor in the first one did work for me, but then I think I've seen Venom about 3 to 4 times. I've liked it less and less each time. And I always remember that I watched it in the theaters, enjoyed it in a good, bad way. But then the very first time I watched it at home without a crowd, oh man, that's one of those movies that like was emphasized by having other people laughing, other people, whether they're laughing because it was good or other people that Jessica says, of course, she comes right in when I trash talk Taylor. I'm always trash talking Taylor. I'm the best man. He's a guy that literally the other day he thought that Kirklin was his team titles partner. Me and him hold the team titles. We have a truce now. We put everything in the past. We hold the team titles, and he got Kirklin was his team title champion partner. Such a bastard. But Sub says, I cried of laughter in the first one, but I can't tell why other people don't like it. And yeah, Subs, you were in the Discord saying that. And I think this is a very mixed movie, the first one, and now the excitement is for this, right? I think it's just there's a camp of people that want the dead ass, serious Venom. He's dangerous. He's a killer, right? But then there is sometimes even in comics, he's a bit more goofier, a bit more kind of crazier, much more when he gets the anti-hero slant. But I think lots of people, I guess including myself, want that symbiote. Like when in this trailer at one point, Venom or Tom Hardy's talking to Venom. Eddie Brock is talking to Venom, pronouns, pal. That, you got to control your aggression. You're getting too angry because the whole thing of this trailer, one of the plot lines is, oh, he doesn't want him to kill people or eat people. I don't understand why, because I felt like I hate sequels that do this. I hate sequels that they undo two things where it seems like Anne is back with her fiance, like nothing happened, and now they're doing this like, oh, you can't eat people. Well, I should be able to eat people. Where in the very last thing in the movie was he kills that guy in the grocery store, bites his head off, and does the whole "we are Venom," and it's like, okay, he's accepting who he is. They made some sort of deal, but to me, they kind of backtrack that, and I hate that. It's just like in a sequel, almost like Anchorman 2, when right away him and like whatever her name was break up. That's my always fear about Wedding Crashers too. Is I hate when a sequel starts and they undo everything, not everything, but lots of stuff from the first one. And then at the end of the movie, we just get back to exactly where the first one ended. A parent relationship, a bank heist, something like that. And it's that worries me. And that feels very 2000s like superhero actiony movie. So that's not good. I think that's what people, as far as they want when he's talking about the aggression, maybe we'll see that, but the thing is I would love it if we did have this fun-loving Venom from the first one, and maybe the movie starts with he's still kind of fun-loving, joking, but then he progressively does get more aggressive, and I don't mean, like, popping out, breaking his nose, and, "Oh, let me fix it and break it again." I legitimately want him to be like, "Oh, that's what I mean. Eddie Brock is worried that because he's trying to keep Venom at bay, that Venom might actually hurt Anne or hurt someone else. You know, like there could be a very back and forth. But the problem is the trailer just looks too jokey. Now, could it be like the first one where the trailer's different and it gets more serious when we get in there? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think that's just gonna be a fun dynamic, and then them and Carnage are gonna fight it out, right? And that's what gonna be the main crux is. I think there's a good story to tell there with the symbiote or symbiote, whatever it was in the first movie they couldn't decide on. And Venom, as far as Eddie doesn't want to kill people, even if they're criminals, but that's Venom's way of nature, right? And like I said, there's that push and pull of being dangerous and trying to protect other people, but trying to do the good thing. I don't think they'll tackle that. I think they'll tackle that like 10% wise. So I think that's why SBubs, that's kind of the divide. I think people like myself, I reason I don't like this is because, in my opinion, the Venom I would want is a Venom that could eventually jump on to Tom Holland's body, take him over, and that would be a very gripping story. This to me would not be a gripping story. This Venom and that Tom Holland would be quite annoying, actually. And I like Tom Holland. I just some of the Spider-Man movies, the solo ones, the MCU, I haven't loved. So I don't know if I would want that. And again, I don't feel like it would be a really push and pull. Now, like I said, if something happens in this movie where this symbiote is more dangerous eventually, okay, we can talk. But with it being so humored, just doesn't really work for me. It just feels very generic. It feels like I said, the first one felt like this, but it's following suit as far as very early 2000s comic booking. And lots of people cite like, oh, that's the reason I like it. It's like a throwback. I wouldn't mind a throwback. I didn't necessarily want one with Venom. Do it with Morbius. Morbius, I don't care about that much. Like, I like Morbius. He's a really good Spider-Man villain. He becomes like a separate character. But I think Venom's so big to the Spider-Man mythos. You have to do that. That's the problem, though, that they decided to. We're gonna do this solo Spider-Man one, right? So I'm kind of answering your question, Maddie, as far as was making a Venom solo films a mistake on Sony's part, or is it just direction style that they took with it that was a misfire? Well, again, it's tough because like we'll never know with the sequel, right? That's all these movies right now coming in COVID. We'll just never know how they're going to do. I would love to have seen Venom 2 come out with a regular world, as Brent and Ray say on Fans Without Borders. I just listened to this morning. Good episode, gentlemen. The before times, right? I would love to see was the reaction of for the first Venom, was it really that loved and the sequel, carried over, or was the first one just a lot of people saw it because of hype, and then when they got back to it, not really for me. It's tough because that movie was 800 million. So if you ask me, Manny, like, was it a misfire or mistake? It's not if you're just the business guy. If you're the fanboys like myself and people that want, I need Venom this specific way, like I'm doing right now, sure, it was a mistake. The whole Sony universe is a mistake for me because I just would rather them be at least start off as Spider-Man villains and then spin off solely. I don't like the kind of reverse engineering of it. But from business wise, no, it's not a mistake at all. They can't, not that they can't, but they're not doing live action Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. So it's the next best thing. Venom. If you're talking just creatively, again, I think that's mixed because there's lots of people that do like it. I asked Bubs in chat, and he's like it. I know there's multiple people that did really like Venom. So I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's just this franchise is are you in or are you out? And I'm in the middle because unfortunately I'm gonna see not unfortunately, I'm gonna see everything Marvel, DC, Star Wars pretty much live action. I know there's some people that pick, and I guess that would be probably because they're bigger Marvel fans or bigger DC fans. I see it all because there was a time in my life where we got one. There was a time in my life where it's like we just got Spider-Man for a year. I do like, because I get to read comic books, I do like seeing 6 to 7 comic movies a year. That's my franchise, and I'm going to support as much as I can. So if we ever do go the way of the Westerns, like everyone fucking tells me every single year, then I'm going to enjoy it while it's there. But I'm going to push it as long and give it a success and show, hey, I want these movies. And I do want these movies. I'm a fan of the comic book genre. And at the end of the day, if it sucks, yeah, I don't have a great Venom movie to watch, but oh well, it'll get rebooted at some point, like a James Bond. How many iterations of Batman are we having now, right? So I think that's kind of the, creative. It's mixed. Success wise, no, not a mistake. It was a good idea to do Venom. Morbius, Again, we'll never know because I think that movie, even before COVID, if COVID was not even a thing, Morbius would not have done well, in my opinion. I don't think Jared Leto's that big of a star. I think he works well with Tabo and Gucci in supporting roles. I know he has his 30-second to Mars thing, but I don't think he is a box office draw that's going to get Morbius over the line. Tom Hardy, I'm not saying he's rock level, but he definitely has more of a draw, I think, because obviously he was in Inception, Dark Knight Rises. Women love him. Now, there's quite a few women I always see talking about Leto, but like I feel like when you see enough of the same people in personal life and then online, when you see that mix, because every fan base, everybody has somebody like thirsting over them, right? But Tom Hardy very much reminds me of another Tom Hiddleston as far as in real life, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You just see women go wild for these guys, right? So I think Tom Hardy has that really cool guy vibe that guys like, and the girls just, or anyone that's attracted to men love watching Tom Hardy. So I think that helped. So no, I don't think it was a mistake. As much as I understand that, and I feel bad for people who didn't get Venom that they want. Yeah, and it's tough, right? And at the end of the day, I still get the Venom that I want. Why? Because that's in comic books, right? Spider-Man 1990 animated series. I get that, right? So it's just me being picky and choosy, being like, I would love that. I think it is a little warrant as far as the first trailer for the first Venom was very serious and dramatic, right? So I'm not talking like Oscar winner dramatic, but it felt like it was not going to be as jokey. So it's an in or you out sort of deal. We'll see. I'm going to keep going down the trail. Some notes I made here. Let's talk about Carnage because that's the big thing, right? And again, it's just one of these things. I feel like this might be a Marvel Transformers where the story is not that good, the writing's not that good, but people just wanted to watch. I don't know, what are they called, Taylor? Decepticons and something fucking else in Transformers. I don't know. Autobots? Is that what they are? Let me know in the chats. Those movies up until last night kept making like almost $1 billion each one. I think the first one was close, and then the next four were, and then last night didn't, and then Bumblebee obviously didn't have a billion. But I think lots of those people just wanted to watch the big spectacle, right? And I think Venom does have that. Again, this is why I wish they didn't do what was his name? Oh, what was his name? He was like the fucking cement looking one. Anyone in live chat, let me know. But the last symbiote they did, to me, I think you build up to symbiote versus symbiote. So that's why Carnage feels a little less special because we already got that. But I think the Venom boys and the fans of the 90s comic book genre has been waiting for Carnage. Carnage is one of those, I would say he's Marvel's Joker, but not to the extent of popularity. He is just that character of he's violence personified. He is no Riot. Yes, thank you, S Bubs. The Gray CJ monster. Yes, I hate when they fought because I couldn't tell anything. At least he's red. And I will say I did worry last trailer that his red was a little dulled down. I still think you could put that vibrance up a little bit more, but I will say he is looking more red. So I like that, just because it's going to be easier to tell them apart. So Carnage, he is a character that fans have been waiting for a long time. Like I said, he has popularity in the 90s. He's in that like Todd McFarlane, like very grunge era. He's a violent villain. You look at his serial killer past in the comic books of like, he's killed his grandma. He's killed all these things, right? He's a bad, bad dude. And then you got Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson, I don't know what he's doing with this role. Summer Nancy in the chat, they should have just done Carnage in the first one, to be honest. They should have, but like when Maddie was asking, was it a mistake? I think the reason they didn't because they knew they had Ace in the hole, and if they get a sequel on the second, this is how I think they on purpose left out Carnage is because they put him in the end credits, so they knew people want to see him. And the title of this movie is fucking so bad, but it's Venom. Let there be Carnage. Even in the trailer, it goes Venom, let there, and then it's like Carnage, and it like pulses in red, and it's like, look at this. So I think they knew full on what they were doing as far as saving that character end credits. So it could have worked. I do think you do have to establish some stuff with the symbiote, but I think it would have been better. But I guarantee you, they're like, well, what do we do with the sequel? And then we'll get them pounding around with Morbius. But I don't like, long story short, what Woody Harrelson's doing here. I didn't like in the credits, and I don't like it here. It's weird because I know everyone's gonna throw in my face. What about Natural Born Killers? He's so crazy and scary, and that doesn't mean he's gonna be good in this. I see Michael Fassbender, in my opinion, give one of the greatest performances. Should have won an Oscar in Shame, and then go and be in Assassin's Creed, where he was not good in the movie. So, like, there's a few actors and actresses I can say I've never seen a bad performance. So, just because, yeah, he's played a creepy serial killer before does not mean he's gonna knock this out of the park. And but I think it'll work for if you like the first Venom. I think his performance will work for what you enjoy. It feels very over the top. It feels very cheesy, very cartoony. And Cletus Cassidy is not a very third dimensional character. Like I said, look into his comic origins. He's just about killing. So that line where Woody Harrelson says, all my life I just want to create carnage. Is it bad? Yeah, like it's so lame. And she's like, okay, so this is it's kind of like the villain who just wants to destroy the world. But because everyone loves Carnage, like, well, I just want to see the red Venom, right? And I want to see them fight. So it works. I think writing wise, I'm not expecting him to have this grandmaster plan to be really fleshed out, but that's the problem you have with Carnage as far as, okay, if you don't have much with the story, what's the performance like? And the performance for me, as someone that did not like the first one or like it enough, like just to pass, it looks like it's going to be very over the top. And like I said, the first time when I saw the end credit scene, that was the first thing that brought me back to reality. That I liked the movie a lot when I watched it in theaters, and then I saw that end credit scene. I was like, oh fuck, like this is what we're stuck with. They cut his hair, so that's good. He's rocking like some. I'm guessing Carnage is on that blazer because it's like red and black. So cool. That's all right. That's an aesthetic, but yeah, it's just not doing it for me in this trailer. I guess the origin is in this that they like even the stuff when they're talking about being serial killers. It's just like, okay, again, if this is early 2000s, this might work. But I guess the origin we're going with, I don't I don't know because the trailer makes it seem like Cletus Cassidy, which I would like this, knows something's wrong with Eddie. And maybe that's the case because he's like, I take something from you, or and then you take something from me, something like that, right? Like he's almost insinuating that, hey, I know that there's something in you, and I'm gonna take it, right? So maybe when he bites him in this trailer, we will get that preference that he is smart enough to get that, and that's why he does that. But then the next line after, he's like, that's not blood. I've tasted blood before. Oh man, it's gonna be a wild 2 hours. I've tasted blood before, and that's not it. So it kind of came off as two things: like, does he know and he's trying to get this, or did he just bite him randomly and he's Carnage now? I hope it's at least Cassie is smart to know that something is in him, something's wrong, because you could do like the Dexter Dark Pasture thing, like fucked up people can see other fucked up people, right? So we'll see. So Substance Cleese is a vampire he got from Morbius. That's your crossover. He's hanging on to self Morbius and he hits them, and oof, that's tough. So yeah, I hope it's the former. Like I said, that he is smart enough. He figures out something on. He doesn't know exactly, but like again, how would he figure out that he's gonna bite him? That's gonna work. I don't know. Naomi Harris is in this movie. Naomi Harris is a fantastic actress. I don't think I got her last time with our GOA chat because Clay was bugging me about always shouting out Florence Pugh is the best actress around, and she has one or two. And I sent a list. She didn't make the top 10 for me of current ones, but she's in the top 20. She's fantastic. She should have won that Oscar for Moonlight. I don't care what people say. She was phenomenal. She is playing Scream in this. She's just like around. She's like a Carnage girlfriend, accomplice, whatever. But in this trailer, she's just like in that cell again, screaming. We've seen that before. She's driving cars. She screams. The car's getting broken apart. So why is she there? Why is that needed? That's something where it's like that could be saved for a sequel. It's just I don't know. I think we don't need this third amendment now. We've talked about this before. I think jokingly, like if Anne becomes she Venom again, they could have this fight off. True, but I don't know. It just seems like she's just kind of around. So I actually have more to say about this trailer somehow. But I'm gonna take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. We're back to talk about Venom. So, Anne, I want to talk about Anne, as I said earlier before. Oh my goodness, my hair is messy. As I said before, she and Eddie are not together. She's engaged. She was not in the first trailer at all. And then this one, she's in it kind of in the stinger per se. They meet at that restaurant again where they were in love. She throws her hand on the table. She has a ring. And then we get the scene where he's like, handshaking the fiance, and Venom's like, that was supposed to be us, what are we doing? And he goes, oh, I'm very happy for you. And then Venom makes Eddie punch the fiance, and the fiance drives away and is like, he needs some relationship counseling. Very like MCU trailer at like stinger, right? Like I said before, I don't like that they're already broke up. I wish there was a better dynamic there. Again, if there was a more dangerous aspect to it, you could have them together, and maybe he's worried she might get hurt. But no, I think she's going to be like the first movie, kind of pop in and out. they'll end up together and whoop-de-doo. If they don't, then maybe bravo. But I just feel like that's the route we're gonna go. And if they're not together, I guess I would just rather her not be in this because I don't know what the role would be. Maybe the movie will reveal that as we get closer, and I'll go, okay, this is what makes sense. But she didn't really need to be in the first one. I don't know why Michelle Williams is in these. I know why, because I think she mentioned like it's something her nephew can see her in. So that's great. That's cool. Understandable. She gets paid for it too. But as far as the actress caliber of Michelle Williams, it's like, oh boy, that's tough. What else did I have here to talk about for Venom 2? Oh, so I talked about this a little bit at the beginning. Same thing with Anne. He's not wanting to eat people now. So I don't know if it's just did his conscience eventually get to him as far as, okay, we're killing a lot of people. I don't want to do that. They're criminals. They're going to go back and forth on that. Again, I feel like we got that a little in the first one. Do they need that in this one? No, but it's going to set up a lot of Venom and Eddie Brock hijinks, right? So we're going to do it. We're going to we're going to have a good time while not killing people. And then I'm not sure what the resolution is, right? I guess because he likes Tater. Like, this is why for S-Bubs or anybody else, as far as like when I'm talking about this, and I just like, this is canon, and this is why it's great. If you love it, that's awesome, because it's just so silly and fun. But what I know that Venom from the first one likes tater tots, and that's a plot point potentially in this movie. Not something I like going on here. It's not maybe Nick Fury ICAT level or Ralph Boner, but we're getting there, and the sequel might just go full on, because I'm pretty sure Andy Serkis was like, "Oh, we got to do what the first people like with the what the people of the first movie. We got to do that, but even better." And I was like, "Okay." So this one's not for me, is what you're telling me, Andy. Thank you. And again, so many people have said this. They've been like, "Well, I am more excited about this movie because Andy Serkis is directing, and we love Andy Serkis. We do love Andy Serkis." To Has anyone seen? I can't remember the movie. Has anyone seen the Andrew Garfield movie that he directed, where he starts getting sicker and sicker? I guarantee fucking to you, they didn't. Did anyone see Mowgli? No. I reviewed it. Mowgli was fine. Like, Matthew Rhys is in that man crush, but like, people say that just because he's a great mocap person, and I know people like, and I've heard this before. People go, "Well, that's great because you work with mocap." So Venom, Carnage fighting, other than some messy CG when Riot and Venom were fighting, mocap and the look of Venom were not my problems with Venom. So I don't like he's really good at the mocap. Andy Serkis to me has, I'm not going to say not proven himself, because that just sounds so like arrogant coming from me, who's podcasting in a separate studio room, who's just about to make his first film, right? I don't mean it as that. I just mean it as he's not earned my level of trust to be like, he's gonna knock it out of the park. If they were to say, "Hey, we had Venom 1, a little mix, but guess what? Guillermo del Toro is doing Venom 2. Fuck, here we go. This is gonna be awesome, right?" People didn't like Venom 1, but Emerald Fennel is doing Venom 2. Oh, awesome. I love Promising Young Woman. We get some dark drama in this. Andy Serkis is like, okay, that's cool, but it also just feel like that's a fun name. Again, I feel like it's kind of like a trick in a way that people go, "Oh yeah, I love Andy Serkis, Caesar, Gollum," and of course, I'm downplaying as far as mocap and that stuff. He is a pioneer as far as that work. He has a studio with it. He did so much stuff. He is one of the most important people in Hollywood history. Legitimately, Gollum was that next step up as far as you look at something like Jar Jar Binks, who I don't think was awful CGI, and it looked great for its time. But then Gollum, not that far apart, and it's like, man, Gollum at times, even in that, now it looks even better with these 4K up res and stuff like that, but even back then at times, he looked like a real character going around, where I will review it, but I watched Jungle Cruise, and holy fuck, they can't even do a leopard right. So it's kind of a trick, but S-Bub says Tater Tot Factory battle in the third act, man. And that's where it's a point of like, what's the movie? Oh, Space Jam's the movie, and this is where my last point. Well, I have another one because Hansi asked a great question. As far as Space Jam win, if you listen to their review, very fun review that Taylor's wrong about a bunch of stuff about me. That's fine. And then I did my end credit 5-minute review. Um, I just went in there like, I'm just gonna enjoy this movie no matter what, because I like the first Space Jam, and I meant like, I'm trying to psych myself out. Like, I'm not gonna be critical on some movies. I do that just because, like, yeah, we do this for the podcast, but at the same time, we're not critics. Maybe one day we'd be on Rotten Tomato, but like, we're always gonna be fans first. So like, and I know Clay hates the term, and some people do like turn your brain off to watch a movie, but sometimes I would rather turn my brain off and have some chuckles than turn it on and have a negative experience. Now, with the first one, I did that because I was expecting that. If it's a franchise I really love, but if it's something like the podcast where, okay, we're gonna see this, a bunch of us. I'm gonna be gone in September, but that I should be on that one for them, unless something goes awry. I should be back for that one. Venom will be my first one. Shang-Chi depends. I might make it. I might not. Depends on my project dropping when it has to start. But I will be back for that just because I feel like it's a meme now with me and Venom. But it's I would rather hope to go in and turn my brain off. But I can easily on the review say, hey, critically, there's this, and this I don't like. And usually it goes towards my score. But as far as enjoying it, if they were to embrace this, as he says, tier top third factory or third act battle, just go all nuts. Now that I know it is the wacky, crazy Venom, let's have at it. Kind of like Deadpool. Now, I think Deadpool is the well done version of that. Will this be that? Probably not, but still just go crazy. But at the same time, there's going to be part of me once I turn that brain back on or once I score it, I'll be thinking about, man, the Venom I know and love is fighting in this tater tot factory in there. Imagine if he creates like a big tater tot or like a tater tot gets a symbiote. Oh yeah, I'm all down for that. So substance Zack Snyder's Venom 3, Let There Be a Shriek. I would be so down for Zack Snyder to direct Venom or one of the other. And is it Shriek? Yeah, you might be right as far as if that's the female in there, because I can't remember her that way. I don't think I've ever really read her. Like, I've seen her a few things. Like, I've read Venom and Carnage. I've read some Soul Venom stuff. I've actually read some Soul Carnage stuff. But majority of stuff is where I like them as Spider-Man villains or anti-heroes or whatnot. Not Carnage, but I would love it. Everyone's always asked like Zack Snyder as a Marvel movie. I think now that Fox is gone, there's very little chance of it happening. But I don't think Sony would go wrong to get him one of these Spider-Man projects, like something that's probably not connected to the MCU. That'd be best for everybody involved, and just let him go crazy. That'd be awesome. But he has that first look deal with Netflix, right? He has Dead 2 coming as Rebel Moon, which I'm very excited for. So he's off doing his own thing. I don't think he'd ever direct an MCU project. I would be down if they could find a way to him to direct a episode like Rodriguez did for Mando 2, and now he's doing his own series. But I think there's a way. Zack Snyder's a very talented guy, and I think that he does have some weaknesses, but I think Marvel would, cover for that. But I don't know if they want to put their foot in that pool, and that's not even some of Zach's fault. That's just some of the kind of controversy that people have made surround him. So that kind of sucks that way. So there was one more question here. Let me find it. So Summer Hansy asked, and this is very interesting because the trailer had this. Zack Snyder for Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, I can't remember. And if anyone else chat, you could pull up. I think they have a director, but it might be one of those situations where they had one and then it left. I thought at one point a long time ago, it was like Antoine Fuqua, I think it was. So I don't think he's doing it anymore. Maybe we got like his draft, his writing. But then after that, I thought there was somebody, but if not, yeah, I'd be down. I still not the greatest fan of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven right now, but hey, that would make me very intrigued. That'd be the most intrigued for a Sony Spider-Man movie that's not Spider-Verse. Absolutely 100%. So Maddie asked, and this is why I want to bring this in. Or this is what, like I said, go to Patreon, join any tier. You can send questions for our newscasts, topics, thoughts, etc. Summer Hansy, I already answered your questions. She said, what other films, of any, do you think being delayed this year? Now, the reason I'm asked this, surprise live cast. Yeah, well, luckily, Maddie, I am working tonight, so that's why I'm in the daytime. There you go. We would honestly do daytime all the time if we did not have jobs or kids. That's why head over to Patreon, and maybe one day the support will get us there. So Clifford got delayed. We talked about that in Discord. I talk about that with everybody, right? We talk about that with our listeners, and then the big thing with this last trailer, I'm pretty positive. I should have checked it, but the last trailer said September. I'm pretty sure, and that was the big thing on Twitter day because last trailer said September, and this trailer said this fall. I just am having deja vu, and I just feel like, and yes, this is like one of those like cardboard wrapping paper, like just the cardboard, like.
Hello, Travis.
Yeah, see, I love these things. Sword fighting as a kid, yeah, awesome. And I know Taylor probably, if he ever sees that image, he's gonna take that and Photoshop that cardboard in my mouth to something else. So have at it. It feels like deja vu, where we heard about COVID before it got to America, North America, and just started slowly and slowly, and then fast because they have. Well, fast, I think they're the first to delay. They delayed a year, right? And it was like this. Well, okay, this makes sense because their lots of their box office comes from international, so they're going to delay and make sure that market's all good. And Bond is a similar thing, big around other markets. I don't know how it compares to Clifford, but either way, the delays were like, oh, this is a bummer. Kind of makes sense. Fast and Paramount, they were like smart, but it still didn't work out as far as delaying a whole year. But it's almost like they knew how bad this was gonna be. But they delayed, and I was like, okay, a few, but I'm sure. I think even Bond even delayed like a few months, and I'm sure by the time we get there, it'll be okay. And then it just kept happening and happening. And now we got Clifford. And I know it said that they were delaying because of COVID and they were going to go to TIFF. Doesn't make much sense to me, but they were going to go to TIFF. So that movie's locked. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they're making an excuse. I guarantee there's some people in video games and TV and movies that right now this is a perfect opportunity to use COVID as an excuse. I think like 95% is saying it's COVID. It is COVID related. I don't believe that. But if you want to and just say, hey, we are behind, well, use COVID. There we go. It's starting. We got Clifford, so I feel like that film was pretty much ready to go. It got delayed. It makes sense as far as it's a family movie. Families like nah, it's just so annoying. And I was talking about this with yeah, well, I don't know. I'll save it. It's one of our patrons. I can say it after 9. They can say if they want to say it, but they're much like me. Is like they're getting frustrated as far as not with the government, not with things going on, just with the people, and it's just so frustrating the things you see, and especially the other things too. People like some guy on the news recently, America's like, oh, I should have got the vaccine. Then he dies like the day later and whatnot. It's just like, man, like just not to get too much, but just people out there just read. And again, even if you are young and not sick, the vaccine also just helps the other people around you. It's not just you. And it's just like, I just took my kids, to the theater for the first time. Now I'm gonna get emotional. I just took my kids to the theater for the first time for Logan and then Gwen in like over a year. And like they're very excited for this Paw Patrol movie coming up. And it's just like one of these things like come time August 20th, is that gonna be even a possibility now? Now with where I am, it's like I think the cases are like only 100, right? But we are going back to mass everything because we don't want to spike. And I understand that. And it's tough because exactly what I thought would happen as far as unvaccinated people kind of ruining it for everybody else. Because those are like you look at the percentages, that's what's happening. And it's just a bummer that like I do not want to have another Christmas where my kids have to fucking Skype their grandparents. So as far as the movies go, it's much little like smaller scale, but that's where it's on a personal level. Like, man, I remember Gwen like shrieked when she saw this like big CG Paw Patrol movie coming out. It's like, man, if we're gonna have to miss that, that's very lame. So I think we are unfortunately, Hansi, getting close. I think the next month is the really telling, right? And especially even then, it's tough because Shang-Chi is coming out September like 4th or 5th. I don't know. I always forget which date it is. I think it's the 5th. August 12th. So in 10 days at the time of this recording, Disney has their investors call. And I think I was talking with Brent and Chris, go check out Marvel Alliance as always, about I sent them a question like, when is the cutoff? And Brent brought that up. I didn't even know there was investors call. So that makes sense as far as the 12th. And now before it to me was just like, is it going to stay theatrical or is it going to go theatrical and premiere access? Now to me, it's like, is it going to keep that date? Unfortunately, if you look at things how they're rising, it's tough. Like with all the other movies, it's really gonna be. I feel like this month and half of September will be the deciding factor. Because then in October you have Dune coming out. You have like Jason Blum, who last year with Halloween Kills says no matter what, Halloween Kills is coming out this October. So if cases are really bad in October, does that mean you are releasing theaters, or does that mean you're going VOD? And it'll be interesting to see people. It's much like I hate to throw him under the bridge, but it's like Bryan Cranston before Trump won president. He said, if Trump wins presidency, I'm gonna move to Canada. That happened. He didn't fucking move. Same thing as Jason Blum being like, no matter what, Halloween Kills is coming out next year. Now, if he says, oh, we're gonna VOD it, then okay, respect, but you shouldn't be dropping unless you are completely fine with putting it on a VOD market, you shouldn't drop the no matter what it's coming out next year because we've seen all this stuff. So it's going to be tough. And Maddie, I am right there with you on just the fandom level because, like I said, the kids, the Christmas, that's the way more important stuff for me. It's like if it meant my kids having Christmas and Halloween again, I'll delay the Batman fucking 10 years from now because it just sucked last year when Halloween was like you go to a few houses and Christmas. It really sucked because it's just like, anyone that grew up as a kid, you know how fun that is, and just to be just at home with, and we made as special as it could be, but it's just like, man, it's such a bummer. I do not want any more of that. But as far as the fandom geekdom level, my heart for the Batman, oh yeah, that's a shot. But unfortunately, Maddie, and same thing with someone that asked us, I'm preparing myself for delays. That's why before in GUA, they used to always bug me and joke as far as I always like, where's the trailer for Spider-Man? Where's that? I'm like the rest of the world, right? But I'm like even more so, and I play it up. I have most of the stuff I always play up. Anytime, if you haven't noticed, if I use trademark on a tweet, it's like a sarcastic in character gauntlet tweet. But some people don't figure that out, and I like that they get mad about it. So yeah, last Christmas stung. Yeah, Maddie, 100%. And I don't want to do that again. So I'm preparing myself for everything to kind of get delayed about 3 months. That's what happened the very first time. And I feel like so the Marvel Universe ones will just all shift. And same thing with Spider-Man. It's tough. Now we have the Disney Plus shows, but again, we're getting that situation of there's even some rumors. I don't even know where they came from, where it's like Hawkeye has some connection to Spider-Man. And if you look at the schedule right now, it makes sense as far as Hawkeye episode 5 comes out the same week as Spider-Man. So if you wanted a link there, oh, perfect synergy. If Spider-Man no longer comes out, like let's say for some reason those Fisk rumors are true, right? And some reason Wilson Fisk is in Spider-Man No Way Home and he has a role, just something. Who knows? I'm just like fantasy booking, right? But he got introduced in Hawkeye to create some hype. Now it's few and far in between. It's exactly like Val debuting in Falcon Winter Soldier and then being in Black Widow. At the end of the day, I don't think it was that big a deal. I think it worked out. So luckily, I think most of the stuff they do is smart where you can shift it and move, but I think everything will get kind of shifted. If any Marvel movies get pushed, do you think they'll move any of the Disney Plus shows too? Yeah, it's good timing there. As far as I think only if they have a really big tie, like Secret Invasion, I imagine everyone's been talking about they probably tie into the Marvels, right? Captain Marvel dealt with Skrulls and all this stuff, and that's kind of, a big crux for that character and Secret Invasion. So something like that. But at the same time, like if you looked at WandaVision was originally supposed to come out, I think only 3 or 4 months like before Doctor Strange, and then they pushed it. So like Doctor Strange got pushed. So I think they're smart to they're gonna have some connection stuff, but I don't think there's any series in particular that really you have to watch. Now it's gonna here's one thing that's very interesting. Let's say Loki season 2. I would hope that Doctor Strange is out before Loki season 2, but what if you got in a situation where Loki season 1 came out and it's supposed to go Loki season 1, Doctor Strange 2, and some of the events would hurt or not hurt, like affect Loki season 2, then you're kind of fucked because then Doctor Strange literally has to come out. It's kind of the same way with Spider-Man, right? It's like that has to come out before Doctor Strange. So it's they're in a difficult position. So I think it all depends on each show as far as what they connect to. I think if it's a Val connection where it's just one character and it's minor, 100% great. If it's something like Loki that had big plot points, you have to have that come before because they keep saying this is the start of the multiverse, right? Like the real, like the opening of it that had to come before Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So if you have that again, I think there's other ones like Moon Knight, which I think is going to be pretty secluded. I think Miss Marvel will be secluded, but that date's still up in the air right now, so maybe not. Hawkeye, other than some of these rumors and whatnot, will have some connection. I was just I suppose the rumor that Kingpin would appear in episode 5 of Hawkeye, and that rumor was before Hawkeye release date was announced. So okay, so I think it all depends. It's a case by case for the shows, but the movies, yeah, I don't know. And the movies, I don't know if they're gonna do the Premier Access thing. Also, we got the Black Widow stuff going on, which is, tons of fun for lawyers and everything like that. But yeah, I'm expecting I'm either expecting in August, September things to get hopefully a little bit better and then we carry on, or it's gonna happen like last year. We'll get a few more delays and it's go boom, 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 boom. You're gonna get studios like Disney putting out a full slate of pushbacks and stuff like that. And yeah, it's gonna suck, but that's what happens when other people kind of ruin it for you, right? Ruin the fun. So that's my thoughts on Venom 2 and delays. Thanks for the questions. There's some more coming out later, but I will take my second ad break and then we'll be right back. So I'm gonna get some water and then we're gonna talk about some Batgirl. So I'm very excited. I need like a be right back singer for live people. For the audience in the podcast world, you just hear it. There might be an ad, something like that. For you, you just see me take a drink and I'm looking around, catching my breath. But I thank you. I thank you very much. So Batgirl, that happened last week, the casting of it. So there's two. I never talked about the casting, Leslie Grace. The reason I didn't, because I don't ever want to come on here for the most part and just be like, oh, this person was cast. Let's see what happens. I don't know anything about this actress. I watched 10 minutes of Into the Heights. I did not enjoy it because I'm not a musical guy. Not really for me. There's a few and far in between. So she's cast. It's still HBO Max movie, but the big thing was J.K. Simmons. So there was rumors, I think about a month ago, that they were looking for a new Gordon. And it was interesting because it's like, okay, well, then it's not in the Batman universe and it's on the DCU. So then this would be like a third new DC strain going on, right? Because if you introduce a new Gordon, that's new. And it doesn't really matter, right? And this is where I'm going to bring up some stuff with J.K. Simmons. Base level, THR reported, hey, he's in talks to come back as Gordon. And in talks, I think that means we're pretty happy with what's going on. Let's talk money. Let's talk money. Let's talk schedule, stuff like that. They fall apart all the time, but that's what it means. So I think it's going to happen. As Bob says, she was pretty good in the Heights. Her character didn't have much to do in it, though. Yeah, that sucks. But hey, if she was good, that's great. And I'm always down for all I've heard is good things about her. So I'm down. I had not seen Tom Holland in anything that worked out. Of course, would it be better for myself to gauge like somebody like Zoe Deutsch who was being talked about? It's like, yeah, I've seen her lots and I like her. So right away I go, oh, cool, that's her. No, we got lots of grace. That's fine. I don't care. Honestly, people have talked about her being Latino. I don't care as far as or Latina. I don't care about that. I don't care about the Gordon thing. I don't really care about the hair. I will say a long time ago when when Zendaya was cast as MJ, I did care about the hair a little bit just because I felt like MJ, that's like her hair was so iconic and that's like almost part of the costume thing. But then like a month later, I was like, okay, whatever. As long as she's right for the role. Now, do I necessarily like the MJ character overall? I liked her better in Far From Home, but I still would love a bit more of the classic MJ, and I think Zendaya could pull that off, but that's fine. New adaptation, right? So JK coming back, I think would be phenomenal because man, that would have to be one of the most wasted potential castings of all time if you got him for what those 2 to 4 minutes in Justice League. This guy who is such a damn good actor. Look at Whiplash, look at Juno, look at Spider-Man. This guy is so talented. I think it's one of those unanimous castings when he was cast in Justice League as Gordon. Everyone's like, this is perfect. We're going to get another Jim Gordon adaptation here. And we got Justice League, which obviously got the first one was a mess, but then he was not in that really much, right? I think this is perfect. It doesn't matter if you go, why is she Latina and he's a guy? Oh, he's a white dude. Obviously, you just need to go take biology science class again because it can happen. So Clay says, as long as she wasn't wearing the Burnside batsuit, I'm good. Well, Clay, I feel like she's going to be wearing the Burnside batsuit. And Clay, how do you feel about Tom Taylor's Burnside batsuit as far as it's like a combination of the Burnside like aesthetic and look, but it's more like armory? I think that's the way to go. I love the colors of the Burnside. And I do like it. It's much like the Venom suit where I feel like that's very divided. I feel people that say that's their favorite version of the suit, never change it. And I see people that go, oh, I hate it. I don't know if it's my favorite version of the suit, but I really like it. I wouldn't be opposed, but I get what you mean because I've seen other people be like, oh, it'd be too CWE. So I think the best version of it is Tom Taylor's new one in Nightwing, where it's like an armor plus the color. But I think we're gonna get that just because it's HBO Max. I think it's gonna be not too lower budget, but I think it will be. I think it's gonna be more street level. I could see it as I'm wondering because I remember in Birds of Prey, and they never touched upon this in the movie, and I wish they did when they were trying to be like, oh, it's still the same universe, but it's not really whatever. But they did say, oh, the reason things are the way they are in Gotham right now is because Batman's missing. This was in the press. And does every kind of comic book like they do that in CW, right? Like, oh, Batwoman's here because Batman's missing. It's an easy trope, but I like it. It's an easy because that character could, like, if it's Ben Affleck's Batman, right? He could pop in at any time. He could be on a mission. He could be dead. It's fun because you have a mystery box and you could drop little hints like what's going on. Maybe he had a mission. Maybe he was done being Batman. You can headcanon your own thing. When you don't address it, it's just like, where is he? What's going on? I hope they do that again in this Batgirl movie and they actually address that. Hey, for some, Batman's missing. We don't know why. We don't know what happened. We need a hero. We need a hero. Carl Ritchie says, I feel privileged to see this live. Oh, well, thank you, Carl. I don't know if I feel privileged about having you in the chat because you're always getting us in the hijinks. But yes, again, if we could always do daytime, if we didn't have our jobs, we would be. But, jobs, kids, that gets in the way. But luckily today's a holiday, so I have some time. But I would love it if Batman's missing. That's why she steps up. And that's why, Clay, I think you could get the Burnside because it's going to be a bit more homemade, a bit more, hey, maybe she found a Batman broken down suit of like old in the that would be so cool if she knew about Batman the whole time, like because Jim Gordon, she's the daughter, right? And maybe in evidence they found like one of his earlier like older suits that they found when they were still like hunting or stuff. Like there's tons of potential for this. And I will say I wasn't that excited before because I don't really the directors are fine choice. I didn't love Bad Boys for Life. I thought it was fine, not real. I don't know. It was there. I'm gonna have a drink of water. Bad Boys of Life was there, right? And I wish it was still theatrical. I know there's this debate about that. I don't care. That's what I wish. And then so all of it, and then Leslie Grace, fine choice, but I don't have any preference. So or like I don't have any touchstones, so I'm not really that excited for it. JK got me back in 100%. That got my wheels turning. Like, okay, now I'm excited. Now this is on the calendar of like, if it had a circle around it, now it's a circle with little stars in it. So I think it's great. I hope he has come back. I hope this all works out. Pay the man whatever he wants to be paid. And I love that he's back as JK and he's going to be back as Jim Gordon. And it's great because I think he can give a really strong performance. And I do like it being in the DCU. I know the DCU is a messy place right now. I'm excited for Squad. But also, again, I've said this to Clay. I don't think he likes it, but the DCU right now is the Fox universe from the 2010 to 18 era, somewhere in that 17 era, where it's like continuity is our friend until it gets in the way, and then we just move past it. You know, they would do like X-Men had multiple characters in the same timeline being played by different actors, but it was one continuity, right? There's a high chance that this Jim Gordon thing could never even address Ben Affleck's Batman. Anything that happens in DCU, Justice League, Steppenwolf, anything, and it could just be him still playing Gordon with Batgirl. I think there's a high chance because it's continuity is there if they want to use it, but if it's in the way, we'll just skirt and put it on. It's not like the MCU. I would want it to be like the MCU if they're going to do a universe. To me, it's like do the universe or do separate movies or do both. The weird Fox universe, I don't know. That had its advantages and big disadvantages, but at the end of the day, if it gets me a Batgirl movie, sure, I'm in. Black Widow lawsuit. Fuck. It's tough because I was gonna try to cast about this last week. I never did, and the Marvel Alliance did. And they covered it pretty well, and there's lots of other shows right now that have covered it. Right? It's been talked about. I feel like to death. It's. Oh, I thought I was gonna sneeze. I thought sneeze was coming. It's been talked about to death, but for a good reason. It's a big deal, right? When that lawsuit came down, it was shocking because Chris shared it in our GOA chat, and I thought it was like an Onion fake article, you know, at first when I saw it, because I think he had shared a link before, because he's like me. I know Chris. I know how you share fast. He's like me who has notifications on for certain scoopers and certain websites, right? So discussing film, I have that. But he must have saw or had on for something else. He shared it. So I didn't think it was real. And I saw like, oh my goodness. And it's been a snowball effect ever since then, right? Back and forth. And I know people, it's a weird outlook that people go like, why do we care? Because it's people, rich people fighting with rich people. It's more for like the little people and the future of the business. Because there's all these rumors like right, Emma Stone might fall suit and Emily Blunt may in the future. This could change a lot of things because Gerard Butler's doing that for one of his Olympus Fallen movies feels kind of weird. But there's a trail as far as Mark Wahlberg wasn't happy with his movie going to Paramount, if you believe sources. Denzel hated little things going to HBO Max. So there's enough actors and directors that are not liking this. And I will say, I guess I didn't clarify this, and I should be just as firm on them as I was Warner Brothers. What they did was worse than Warner Bros. I always said, and some people didn't care for it, I think HBO Max was a great idea as far as, okay, we're giving you the option. Subscribe to HBO Max, see it in the theaters. In case you feel it's too dangerous, you can stay at home and watch it in the comfort and safety of your home. I think that's great. I like that option more. That's how I saw Jungle Cruise. I didn't think Jungle Cruise was worth me going to the theater and packing up the fan and stuff like that. But we were home. It's tired after the bachelor party. It was a late night. Went, okay, let's do this. Order it, watch it. Mini spoiler, enjoyed it. Maybe I'll review it at some point. I like the options, right? I didn't like how they went about it. They did it and then they contacted everybody after. Disney, they had the benefit of the doubt that they saw. We even talked about this on Marvel Alliance, being Chris, and this is why it's so just astronomically stupid that this happened. That they saw it went down. They saw the town get pissed off. They saw the fans get mad. They saw all these things, and they just decided, hey, we're gonna do that, but just a little worse. We're gonna throw the movies on the stream, and this is if it's all true, right? This is what I will say if true. I'm not slandering anybody. I don't want no lawsuit, but if what Scarlett Johansson is proposing is true, that she tried to get in contact with them, she saw it went to streaming in PA when they said, "Hey, it's not going to happen," and if it does, we'll correlate. Her story is she tried to contact them. They weren't getting back to her. She waited till after the movie came out. Boom. Some people might argue, oh, it's because the disappointing box office she did that. Doesn't matter. And especially too, and this is where I do agree with people when they threw out the 20 million, like, so she put that statement, and then they go to the million, like, she made 20 million and blah, blah, blah. And it is comparable to, I think that's what Gal and Patty made for Wonder Woman as like a compensation. But the thing is, that's nice. But if there is a contract that specifically states, hey, I get this much, and it's like, yeah, but we gave her 20 million. That's just trying to get the public to be like, oh, she's already rich. It doesn't matter. I do agree. Like at GeekVerse, we do charity and a bunch of stuff. I do agree that people like a Jeff Bezos, stuff like that, that should have all this money and whatnot, should try and help and spread the word, right? Or not spread the word, but spread the wealth. I get like I get that sentiment. I am also sentiment of people that have worked hard for the money get to do what they want with their money. I never want to be in the finger pointing like you should do now. Like I said, when we get into that multi-billion-dollar person, that's when it's a bit difficult as far as okay, you literally have everything you want. You could live when you could live 2 lifetimes and like maybe 3 and still lose money and be good. That's when it's like, hey, maybe you should conscious wise do some stuff. It'd be great if you really want to help out the universe. But actors, artists, stuff like that. It's like I can't remember who it was on Twitter. Some artist did something on Twitter. They put out there and someone's like, "Really, you're charging $100 for this?" They're like, yeah, I worked very hard for this, and that's what I'm worth. And I agree that 100%. I do not point the fingers at actors and entertainment people. Maybe it's an after 9 topic. Do they get paid too much in comparison to teachers and doctors? 1,000 fucking percent. But it's because they're like drug dealers. They have something that we want, entertainment, right? I need healthcare. I need to get, this. I'm not saying it in my way, but I'm saying it from a point of view of a person. I need to get an injury fixed, but I want to see the Batman. That's something I want, right? That's entertainment. Maybe we'll talk about that after 9. But anyways, they counter back with we've paid her enough, right? And she shouldn't be doing this. And this whole thing of like, oh, and in the middle of COVID, when all these things have happened, it's like, man, you guys fucking laid off hundreds of people at Disneyland. So shut the fuck up. So they did all this terrible shit to those people, but they're like, well, Scarjo, she's really hurting us. And then Scarjo and her team come back and say like it was shot against her character, all this stuff. It's getting messy. I do agree with Brent and Chris that it will be probably settled out of court, but those comments were messy, and it's like, is the damage done? Where it's like, yeah, I'll be settled out of court, but will enough people start to gang up and be like, I should do this, I should do this? Again, there's a report this weekend that The Rock's not doing that. I never thought for a second that was going to happen to The Rock. 2 things: one, his brand is too big, and second, he's a man. So far, all these reports have been it's been women that are thinking about pursuing things, and I'm saying because they are paid less than men by a wide margin in Hollywood history. I don't think they would ever fuck over The Rock, but they have no problem fucking over Scarjo if they did. Like I said, if they did, Disney, don't sue me. You already pay me for our reviews. Okay, we're good. A little sidebar here. Man says, is Jungle Cruise worth watching for someone like me? Yeah, like I'll say it here because honestly, this cast is going longer than I thought, so I don't know if I'll get to review it today. I might try to do it at some point. It's one of those where it's like, is that a big deal if people hear it? I don't know, but it was a fun movie. It is a lesser than Pirates and The Mummy. People have said that, but there's some really clever stuff. There's a few moments in the movie where you go, oh, this is kind of lame. Why are they doing that? And then they explain. You're like, oh, that was good. Like that was smart. And Emily Blunt and The Rock actually surprised to have really good chemistry because The Rock usually doesn't have great romantic chemistry with people. He's like, because I just don't think that's a thing he really does much in his movies, right? Most of the time, it's like just a small love interest. But like I've seen him WWE and F where he had like romantic chemistry, but they had good chemistry. Emily Blunt is just so good. She's just like effortless. That's what I'd explain her as. But I think Maddie is like, for you worth of $30. I don't know, because I watched with like my fiance and family. We had a really good time. It's kind of like that family friendly. I became Southern there for a second, where it's action adventure, but it's safe. There's some scary stuff. The CGI, holy fuck, is it awful? It's so bad. And when people, I don't know if that's what spurred it as far as people talking about Davy Jones this weekend. It's just not good. There's multiple times where it's just like, if you're gonna do a movie with so much CG, you gotta step it up. And you look at something like Davy Jones and those fish people and the Dutchman, that CG is just off the wall banger good. The CG in this not great. But here's probably the biggest recommendation, Maddie. I would watch another one, and I would go if things were non COVID. I would go to the theaters and see it. I had that good a time with it. I had very low expectations. I think the whole movie I've really written it off. I was like, who wants this? It did. Funny enough, me and Kirklin talking about this Premier Access situation with Black Widow. They did reveal their numbers, which me and Kirklin said they would not. So, and I was actually surprised by that number. 30 million people at home bought, like I was one of them, but they bought Jungle Cruise. Very interesting. So it's gonna be interesting what happens to Shang-Chi. But yeah, I think if Scorpion King 2 was he in Scorpion King 2? I don't know. I thought he did. I think he just did the first one, but I've never seen any of those straight to DVD ones. But I think if you like The Mummy, like Pirates, it's like that, just kind of like a step below, but it has that vibe. So and if you like The Rock, you like Emily Blunt, it's there. Jesse Plemons has a lot of fun in it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. So that's probably my main review, because I don't know if I'll get around to review Jungle Cruise if I got Green Knight coming out. I got another newscast. I got Suicide Squad. So there you go. Some other stuff in the chat. Fine Boy Clay says Disney was like, new number, who dis? Pretty much, yeah. They're just kind of hoping I don't know, the box office would be enough for. And that's where, again, if true, that because you and me, Clay, were the same thing of like, this would be dumb if they just forgot. Because when they did put that out, I did say, oh, I think Disney's not in the right here, but I think Disney's going to call her out, because the second Disney put that out, it's like, oh, I feel like they got a case, because no one just forgets, right? Like Disney doesn't forget, but then when like more stuff came out and then other actresses were potentially pursuing stuff, it's like, oh, so maybe they did. And this is a big thing. If you go back, I think it was Variety a few weeks ago, maybe months ago now, they put out this article, and it was very quiet, but it did go the rounds. This article of the kind of power struggle going on with Disney, as far as you have Bob Iger, who was the CEO, president, whatever. And it's so funny because I was talking about those Heinz. This has to go with the Black Widow thing. I'll make it full circle. He was trying to retire years ago. When they were launching Disney Plus, they brought him back. They said, we need you for a little longer, because like, everything, like, you're the guy, you're always been the guy, we want you to be the guy. And there's been rumors he might run for president one day, so that's kind of some of the reason why he might be leaving. But you're the guy, help us launch this, the board of directors, help us get this into the wild. And he did. Super successful. Disney Plus has been above expectations for almost every time they do that. And he's on his way out, right? And you got Bob Chapek, another Bob. And it's funny because there's some people that, like, there's reports that people that worked with him in the park said this was a bad idea. I know this from reports, and I don't care. Some people are Geo, don't like it. I still watch and listen to John Campea. I still listen to Schmoes and stuff like that. And he had if you want a video of audio version, go back. He broke down this whole article, and it was really well done. Yeah, does he say some dumb stuff? Yeah, but we all do. I just fucking talking to a cardboard piece of whatever. Think as that as you would. So apparently there's just power struggle of half people think he's, doing a good job. Half people think he's like not doing a bad job, but doing like a run Disney down to the ground, like hurt Disney job. If these last few, and Family Clan, I'll address your other questions in a second here, but he says new Bob sucks. If this thing is true, Black Will, absolutely. Because again, I don't get in the debate of like, I would like a grander debate of why these actors paid so much, not as far as, well, Scarjo makes this and she shouldn't because she already has enough money. Okay, Scarjo at times has been kind of an idiot. She's like defended, like if you defend Woody Allen, all automatically you go on my like, you're not great type of list. We know enough about Woody where it's like, that's kind of fucking gross and we should be over defending like pedophiles and whatnot. But if you want to stand by that, great, you do you. But if we're taking the biases out of that and just talking about business, she gets what she worked for. And if this is true and they did just try to ignore her, like ghost her, like Clay was saying, like a dating relationship, that's fucking lame. And it's so funny because sure, you've had like an Edgar Wright leave Marvel and stuff like that. But if you look at something as far as the controversies as Disney, it would be some bigger stuff. It's like maybe some person get hurt at park or something. This stuff, this business stuff, none of this happened with Iger. That's why he was the guy. That's why he's Uncle Bob. He got Disney to like Disney's always been big, right? But that 2000, what? I'd say 12 to 2019, like that Avengers the Endgame era, they fucking ran. They still run game, but they like ran game. They were the bee's knees. Like they were everything, right? Disney was a powerhouse. They still are. I'm not saying got brought down, but that's the worry that they are going down. They're not going to be the power game. They're not going to be the A tier. There's going to be a Netflix. And that's been some of the Justin Kroll, who's a big Hollywood scooper, put out like that's going to be a big crux for talent because if Netflix, who's been operating, yeah, sure, everyone has controversy, but they haven't been not paying their talent. But if they're operating on basis like they're talking about, hey, Nolan, come over here, they're gonna start making different deals now. As far as Nolan, he'll get the Marnie deal. Hey, come over here, and guess what? You can release your movie in theaters for 2 months. Then it comes to Netflix. They're they they're smart. I was somebody legitimately who probably 3 years ago said Netflix will eventually not be a thing. I was completely wrong. One, because they had so much debt, but debt works in mysterious ways sometimes. And two, I just thought, well, once all those people, Warner Brothers, doesn't create their own streaming services, people aren't going to use Netflix. I don't even watch Netflix that much because some of the originals I feel like the past few years have not been that good. But if they get people like a Christopher Nolan, a David Fincher, it's like they're making the smart moves where it's like Marty Scorsese. If I didn't have Netflix, I would have subscribed to see The Irishman. He's my second favorite director behind Nolan, maybe third. It's tough. Him and Tarantino always fight for that spot. But this business controversy you would never really hear. It's like stuff like Edgar Wright leaving. That'd be like creative choices. So this Bob, I don't think it's going to be long for him. And I wonder, it's tough though, right? Because obviously they're probably grooming him. And I don't think they're going to be like the last time where they can bring Iger back. I think he's like months away from retiring again. So they're in such a difficult position. And it's just a couple more bad moves. And like I said, if that's, I don't know. I always just think about for myself with Geek First and what we do here and with GUA. We they make money, we make money, and we are responsible too for paying them out. The money goes to us. Completely honest. I would feel even the like stuff that I wouldn't even do in the low level. If people ask me about money, I respond quickly if it's like they need it or they want a clarification. I'll be on that. If you're Disney and you're talking about millions of dollars, you don't do that, and I can do that with like what we make here. Yeah, it's not going right. It's not going good. This is not off to a great start. So yeah, new Bob not greatest. John Campion won't be happy with DS2. What with Doctor Strange? Are you talking about Doctor Strange 2 Follow the Multiverse Madness? Yeah, I listen, I've always said this before. I got into podcasting because of Collider. So I always not have a bias, but I always have nostalgia that movie talk era, him, Ellis, Harloff, and Schnepp. That filled the void. My two podcasts ever listening to just podcast general was Kevin Smith. I remember for the first time ever, because I felt like when I was growing up, I was starting to lose friends that were into this stuff. It's like, who do I talk to about this? Then I found GeekVerse, but it was like I got Emily, but then no one else. Daredevil was the first time I ever listened to Kevin Smith because I just wanted to hear somebody talk about Daredevil. And I found him. I can't remember who he interviewed, but it was about the show. And that kind of was like, oh, if you're interested in this, listen to this. And I don't even know how. And it's funny, like the second show I listened to is a show that Campia left and he came back, but I listened to it. And then I love Schmo Snows. Harloff is one of my favorite out there. I do still listen to his stuff. He definitely does a lot less movie stuff now, but I do watch Schmodown and stuff like that. I've supported their Patreon stuff before. Else Fun Schnepp was fucking awesome, man. Like it sucks. Just a month ago we lost him. Like he was just such a fan. He gets so excited, but like Campia to me is, and this does not sound like appealing to him, I imagine, because if you listen to him, he sounds pretty left wing. He to me is very much like Fox News, where my dad, he doesn't listen to it now because they're so bad. But back in the day when it was maybe like 10, 15 years ago, he listened to it on Sirius XM. Like, why are you listening to this? Like, you're left wing and all this stuff. He goes, well, I still like to listen, even if they're so wrong. I still want to hear what the other side's saying. I don't agree with that as Campia. He's not that bad, but me and Campia, as far as like opinion wise, very little we would agree on, but he is an educated guy. He has sources. People always want to dismiss it, and I will always give him credit. People always shit on him for the Batman Ben Affleck thing. For years they did, but then when it didn't happen, no one gives him credit. And same thing, like there's stuff like, and this is inside baseball for people that listen to all these podcasts, but something like Film Gob, right? People all the time like they show that video. There's like a 2-minute video. It's like one of the most popular on YouTube, right? Of like all the times Camp is wrong about the Snyder Cut. If you, as a listener, if you legitimately listen to the full clip when Gob doesn't edit out, and because Gob, that's why I've never been a fan of him, because he'll go back and forth. Sometimes he says it's parody, but then other times or like satire, but then other times he walks it back, say, "Oh no, this is true." If you watch all those Campia clips in full, that was he's wrong about Justice League. He would always say there's not a completed, ready to go Snyder Cut. Just you could hit play and it's there. He was right about that. He'd always say it doesn't exist, but it could exist if you pay to get work done on all this stuff, right? The very first time he talked about the Snyder Cut, because I think for the Justice League review, he brought that back up. He's an educated guy. I think lots of times he does like on purpose. I think he's less than Grace, but he does on purpose try to stoke the fire. But at the end of the day, that guy's having like, I think he goes live pretty much soon. That guy has like usually 3 to 5,000 people watching him live. He's getting hundreds of dollars through super chats every single video. His spoilers review, like you got to respect the game of it, right? And he's just like a master at that. And I think a lot of times some people like, sure, you might have some shit takes, but it's just like he's never done anything to me where it's just like, oh, we gotta cast him out. Like I remember where people hate him for saying that he didn't like Ahsoka. Who fucking cares? It's just a care. Like people treat it as like he said that. I guess people took a slant like because it's a woman character. I really didn't see that slant. I think people were kind of leaping and whatnot. I'm sure he said some other stuff like that Transformers video, but like everyone said dumb stuff in the past and he apologized for that and everything like that. It's just like, I don't think he's done anything so offensive where it's like, you're a bad, creepy person. It's just he's had a lot of hot takes that people don't agree with, and he'll call people out. But I don't listen all the time. I listen when there's a hot topic and stuff. But Sub says I won't hold off the Snarka stuff against him because that was reasonable. But what if stuff is pretty funny to me. And one of my favorite videos, and this is so inside baseball. It sounds like it's just me and S Bob song right now, and then I'll get back because the Black Widow thing's pretty much done as far as Disney should have said something. They should have done. And I'll take my probably last ad break now, and then we're gonna get into this, and then we got the Gucci trailer and a little more Black Widow. So we'll take our last ad break, and I'll be right back. And we're back. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh, that's a cough right there. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Disney, they'll sell out of court. It was dumb of them to do. Don't do it again. I think if they do Shang-Chi Premier Access, all that talent better fucking contact and get it done because this is just embarrassing. And if this is the new regime, they need to get rid of Bob, like wrist slap him, get Iger back or something because he's had a few of these now where it's like, hey, starting to add up to those reports of like bad bad turf going on. Yeah, with you were talking about the what if stuff. Yeah, I've listened to a few that I feel like I listen to him maybe like twice a week. It all depends on the topic. Or like I do appreciate, and so many people have like he took it from Joe Rogan and other people have taken it from him. We've done it. We just don't have the time. When we are a streaming laptop, he cuts his like topics into mini topics on YouTube, right? Sometimes I just watch a video there. One of my favorite casts is after the San Diego Comic-Con where they announced like all the multiverse stuff. And he was just talking about before like months how much he hated multiverse stuff and how it's going to be the end of it and there's not going to be anything. And he didn't want Falcon as Captain America and he didn't want a Black Widow movie. And they just released like all this stuff. And here's the thing. And I feel like this is maybe some stuff where he does get shit on, which I agree with. He'll push something that is his narrative, but it's like what he doesn't usually look at both sides. That's why I do like Robert Meyer Burnett on the show. He will say something, but Campy will usually like completely ignore it if it's something against Campy's argument and it's a good fact. Because like I remember when the original Black Widow, those earnings came out of the 60 million, and Campy is a full on fuck that. That's a stupid idea. Just put in theaters. So all that he was just like pretty much pushing that narrative. And Burnett pointed out like, well, they make more money off of this. He never once addressed it. Not one, not once would he eat crow. He'll never eat crow until like it's full on facing. Like how many years, S-Buzz, you listen to? How many years was he's like, you'll never see Tobey Maguire and Andrew and Tom Holland in a movie. That won't happen. That's just fucking SNL skit stuff. And it's just like, man, I think sometimes he just can't like read I feel maybe he's lost a little bit of that type of fandom where he can't read the room that way, where it's like you've seen Spider-Verse and other people are doing multiverse. We just said Flash. It's just like, this is how do you not see they're going to eventually maybe do this? But it's not even like, I would understand if he goes, I don't think they're going to do it, but we'll see. He will just be so adamant, like they're never going to do it. And then he eats crow sometimes, and I'll give him credit. Sometimes he does, and he has to be pretty humble. It's kind of fun. So that's what happens. That's why, like, as far as myself, sometimes I'm very confident in stuff, but most times I'm playing up as a character because I'll eat crow on some stuff. Like there's some stuff before Netflix, right? Early years of GeekVerse.ca said, I won't be around. And it still is, and it's killing it. I was completely wrong on that. I think COVID helped it, but completely wrong. I suppose I'm not mad at him for taking any takes. I just find the drama in his takes often stupid and funny. Yeah, and I think me and GA have talked about it with Grace. I think at times he does it less now because I think honestly he's getting older, and I feel like he's at that point where I know he just bought a house, but I feel like he's made so much money that he's gonna be able to retire. Like he makes so much money off those super chats, right? I think there's very early on, or at least at 10 years, he would say stuff to put it out there. Just he knows it would get a reaction. He's not a stupid guy. He can be an emotional guy. There's that time he fucking broke his headphones live on air because he was mad like an Xbox fucking game player. But he's not a dumb guy. Look at what he's built. So speaking of not a dumb guy, Mr. Ridley Scott. I can't believe I got that transition, but I did. A few weeks ago, you can go back. Me and Kirklin talked about the Last Duel trailer. And it's so funny because of COVID now, he has 2 movies coming out. And Oscar critics, I love Oscar season. It's been a big talk of like, okay, what movie do you push for Ridley Scott? You know, it's sometimes when there's 2 performances of like Tom Hanks, I think it was like in Captain Phillips and that fucking plane movie. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, which one do you push? They're both great performances. It was something where it's same year and you could only push one. Same thing with this. And I'm just going to start off this with Clay's question over at Patreon, not Fanboy Clay. Clay, I always forget to pronounce your last name, Clay, so don't hate me. We got to find a new thing. How there's like Fanboy Clay, we need to find you a little monicum, you know, but it's like Mathis or Matthews. I always thought it was Mathis for a long time, so I always forget Clay. But he asked, who you got? Ridley Scott's Last Duel versus Ridley Scott's House of Gucci. So the trailer, I love the trailer, but I'm completely biased because I do like Ridley. I really enjoy Ridley Scott. He's not one of my favorite directors, but he's up there. He's top 20 for sure. I think many people have him up there. Look at his filmography. He's made so many classics. The second Lady Gaga and Adam Driver in this, I was sold. Like, that's fantastic. And they're already just chemistry in the trailer. It looks great. This is going to be a combination better than peanut butter and chocolate. Sorry, Reese's, you had your time, but this is the way to go. Adam Driver, legitimately right now, it's him and Christian Bale fighting, but I think currently Adam Driver's best actor in the world. Lady Gaga might be one of the more underrated ones. And you might go like, oh, she's got nominated for an Oscar. How do you go? Like, how do you think that? I just don't think people talk about her enough yet as far as her talent. You look at American Horror Story, multiple seasons of doing great character stuff, mostly just season, what was it, 4, 5, whatever fucking hotel was. I think she's fantastic, and I want her to be Poison Ivy so bad. I think that combination is just, it's deadly, and it's just like the second you hear it, just has like that sex appeal, like ooh, like you like the same way when we got the cast announcement for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when it's like Brad Pitt and Leo, you're like, oh my god, like you just get like film sexually turned on, like this is a duo I want to see, and there was like Margot Robbie, like boom, and like same in this movie, it's like Al Pacino, ew, Jeremy Irons, Jared Leto. You know, it's just like this is a stacked cast. Jared Leto looks really good in this trailer, and I'm somebody that's like, I think he can be a good actor, but I think he can go too far over the top. This character looks like he wants to be over the top. I'm not looking forward to the debate. I really don't care. This debate I'm getting so tired of the you shouldn't cast an actor and then put them in like heavy makeup. You should just go get a character actor. If that's the hill you want to fucking die on, sure. I've seen that with Colin Farrell of like, yeah, this makeup's good, but you know what? You could have got a heavyset guy to be Penguin who's up there. It like my biggest example is, let's say Adam McKay, who did oh, what the fuck was his I'm completely Cheney movie, right? Oh, it's called Vice, his Dick Cheney movie. Let's say he had all these actors in the world, but for whatever reason, Christian Bale was the best performance, everything like that. He was the best for the role, but then it's like, well, you can't play him because you're too skinny. Now Bale takes it on himself to add on the weight. But guess what, people? If you want people to be like, I respect Bale. I like, he's a beast. He goes up and down. But if you want people to not like risk like heart, The Big Short, Vice. Yes, thank you very much. It's Big Short and Vice. Thank you, Summer Hansi. We got there. If you don't want people fucking with their arteries, let them put on the fat suit. And it's just, I don't care if a director really wants Colin Farrell to be the Penguin, and instead of him having to gain a bunch of weight, put him in the suit with great makeup. I really don't. I just don't get why I don't get why people are so mad about that. Those other character actors will get something. Like, to me, it's like they wouldn't have been casted, because guess what? I guess then he would have just said, "Oh, I'm going to cast Colin Farrell, make him a skinny Penguin." That's how I take it. And same with Jared Leto. Then Ridley Scott saw someone, he put him in the suit. Listen to me, I'm defending Jared Leto. I don't like, it's such a weird thing. If that's what you feel, great. But if that's your preference, fine. But there was just like, when they released the character posters, Jared Leto's one on Twitter was trending for a while because people were making that point. It's just like, I understand like sexual orientation, I understand race, like all the stuff that you could be mad about. But the fact that Ridley Scott put Jared Leto in a fat suit and we're costing like heavier actors roles, I don't know. I just feel like he always wanted Jared Leto in that role. So that's why it happened. But yeah, I don't know. The trailer looks great. I don't know much about this story other than the synopsis and a few little things here and there. Gaga looks like scary. That last scene where she's like stirring her tea around and she's like, I don't consider myself an ethical person, but I do have like morals or like a standard or a code or something. And she just takes that step. Looks really good. Adam Driver is like doing his best like geeky, sexy thing going on. He's in big glasses. He's like this really slick back hair going. So it looks great. The music choice is fantastic. It was a great trailer. It was last two. I liked the trailer. I was intrigued. This was like, I'm in. So Clay, that's your answer right there. As far as both of them, Last Duel versus House of Gucci, the father son, House of Gucci. Great ending that trailer. My preference, that one. Overall, with everything, box office, Oscar and Coffee World box office, House of Gucci for sure. I think, and even critically, I think people will, if they release the same time or similar, they'll gravitate more towards House of Gucci because flashier stars, fucking Matt. Summer has to be 100%. How's Matt Damon or not Matt Damon? How's Adam Driver not one sexiest man alive yet? I think he will. I think he just for some people has like a unique type of different, like he's not that like classically handsome, right? Like I think that's where like a Chris Hemsworth is or a Hugh Jackman. I think that's, it will happen, but it also has to do with star power, right? And I think the more people, once everybody's mom knows who Adam Driver is, he will. Like, look at that picture of him on the horse. Look at it. How is that not the sexiest person alive? Sexiest man in the universe, whatever it may be. But he should be in that class 100%. But I think they gravitate towards, there's more sexy stars, just like the star appeal. Lady Gaga is coming off A Star Is Born. Adam Driver's so hot right now with Annette. You got Star Wars, which still like, yeah, Rise Skywalker map, a big franchise. He carried that franchise, in my opinion, as far as the character wise. You have that. And I also think what's going to be interesting is you have Matt Damon, who for some reason, I don't even know why he did this when he was in the public. Like, I just recently stopped saying the F slur as far as for sexual orientation. It's like, man, even if that's true, like, good for you, but why the fuck do you why, like, why did, and I know there's some of these celebrities that are they're so far gone now, they don't care, right? Nothing's gonna hurt them, but it's just like, man, just don't tell that same story, but don't say it just happened recently. Like, tell, like, you don't even have to tell a story, but if you did, like, talk about like it was way long in the past, like they just shoot themselves in the foot. Like, same thing with Liam Neeson. Like, why are you sharing that you went and almost like attacked a person of color just because they were looking for a person of color? It's just like some stories, and I get there is growth, and like Liam Neeson, I get what he was going towards, but I think there's still better ways you could phrase it. Obviously, they're fine, they're celebrities, but just like that one and the Liam Neeson one, I'm more supportive of because it was like 30 years ago, and he talked about, he even like in his story said like he was so wrong, he felt so ashamed of himself. It was a bad thing, and there was a point of growth there. Matt Damon's like, why are you saying this? You can look up the story, find out, but with that, I think House of Gucci, even though it's a crime drama movie, it's going to have more flair and fun and sex appeal and comedic beats and twists. Last Duel looks like it's going to be very heavy. Now, that may help it because with the Academy Awards, lots of heavy movies win shit, right? But this also looks like, you talk about controversy. It's cool that we saw reports that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote the male parts of the script, and then I can't remember the female's writer's name, but she wrote the parts for Jodie Comer. So you have like from the perspective of story, woman accuses man of rape, man says he didn't do it, woman says true and says he did do it, and it's those point of views like clashing, right? And I didn't even think about Adam Driver, so I love that Ridley Scott is like making Adam Driver one of his guys. Summer Hans says maybe once he wins his Oscar. Maybe, but like Hugh Jackman never did. What Chris Hemsworth never did. Ryan Reynolds didn't. So like, I feel like sometimes, like I said, I feel like they go for the person that like, who does your mom find hot? And that's why I worry that Adam Driver might not get it, because I don't know if my mom finds Adam Driver hot. You know, I think that's what it is. They go for the very mainstream, very good looking sort of guy. Like Mahershala Ali, I don't know if he's won it. He should definitely be in here. So too. I don't even remember who won it last. Whoever won it last, it was right. I think it was Michael B. Jordan. I think it was, and that was like, yeah, good call. But a movie about rape and this topic, as far as a man is defending her honor in a duel, if written poorly, you know you're going to see so many opinion hit pieces on this, warranted or not, about a man defending a woman, a man stepping up from him. Like, if it has anything that's like, you're watching, you feel a little like bad in your stomach, it could create a conversation. I hope it's the positive one, but the movie has a lot more risk as misstepping, where House of Gucci is about a crime drama where someone's trying to like take over the Gucci name and murder someone, right? there's bad stuff to it, but obviously this last duel is dealing with some much more heavier content. So that's where I feel, yeah, that's tough. And I feel like if anyone prevails, you got the other stack cast, and plus maybe Ben Affleck's wig just fucking ruins the movie for everybody, you know? S Bub says once Driver wins an Oscar, he'll get the call from Feige. Oh man, I did cast him in the superhero draft. Check that out. That's now live. So he was my like, I don't think it's gonna happen. It's interesting because I think he'd get that call no matter what. I think that is just in Adam Driver's ballpark. It's or not ballpark. It's in his playbook. If he wants to be in Marvel, I think he'll be in Marvel. I think he does want to break from the franchises for a bit. But here's another one where I would eat crow on. You would have asked me 3 years ago, will Christian Bale be in an MCU movie? I said, not a fucking chance. No way. That's not for him. He's not going to do that. He did the Batman thing. He's fine. He's still a big star. He doesn't need it. He's playing Goro the God Butcher and fucking Thor Ragnarok with Taika Waititi. And now the reports are like, oh, the reason he's doing that because he really wants to work with Taika, which I think is great. But he could easily work with Taika. I guarantee if he would have went to Taika and said, hey, your next movie, find me a role, like a non-Marvel one, Taika would have found it. Doesn't have to be Thor, but he chose to do that. Hopefully he makes his way into Star Wars. So Christian Bale is a huge Star Wars fan, so I want that to happen. I think that Adam Driver is a similar situation that I do not peg him in the MCU, especially because like the dream role for me is like, yeah, him as Doctor Doom, but it's like, yeah, is that typecasting for hero wise? It's hard for me to see, but I think like he could go into an office, take a meeting, and be done with Warner Brothers or Marvel. I think people respect him quite a bit, and he's like he's a family guy. He's not made any mistakes. He's a good guy in the public. He's in on the joke, like that thing we did with John Oliver, like he's a franchise guy, but I think he just wants a break. I think maybe if he gets and maybe it's the other way around, S-Bubs, where not that Marvel will call him, he'll call them. Because lots of people do that where they'll be like, I'm gonna lock down and try and win an Oscar. Who did that? Who got all skinny? Mark Wahlberg was trying that a few years with that Gambler movie and stuff like that. But there's some years where you can tell an actor is just taking a role specifically like, I want to make my run and I'm not going to stop till I get an Oscar. And then they get the Oscar and then they do whatever. He could do that. I don't think he'll ever do whatever, but I think that there's a clear design from him and his agents right now. Like, we're going to get you to that spot. And maybe, I don't know who like have to choose any character call exactly. I do think there's a chance that he could be on that level. Maybe not any character, but like, hey, we'll bookmark that for you. I've always said there's even though it's the antithesis of Wolverine, like I always think he could actually pull off a Wolverine. Yeah, he's tall, but still, like I think there's a way. I think he could pull off anything. If they said, hey, you're gonna play Toad and make Toad the leader of the X-Men, Adam Driver could do that. Plus, imagine that tongue action. Yeah, Adam Driver, he could do that pretty well. Apparently in Annette, he's singing. There's a moment in the movie where he's performing Cunnilingus and he's singing at the same time. So can't wait for that movie. So yeah, as far as box office and critically, Oscars, I feel like Gucci all around has the better shot. As far as best actors, it's tough, right? Because it's great with these festival people that get to see him early. I never make any Oscar predictions early because House of Gucci, because we've seen that with Ridley Scott, right? He's made The Martian, which got all his praise, but then he made something like The Counselor that had Michael Fassbender, Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem, Penelope Cruz, Cameron Diaz. I thought that was going to be the bee's knees. It's going to be the next big Oscar winner, clean sweep. Movie, my opinion, not really good and didn't do anything. So Ridley Scott, to me, that's why he's not one of my favorites, because he's not 50-50, but I feel like it's always like, okay, he got a hit or a home run. Like he's very in the pitch. Like you look at something like Gladiator, where it's just like, okay, boom, home run, wins these Academy Awards, stuff like that. So you never know. And then I feel like Last Duel could be the one where it's like he bunted and got to first base, where Gucci could be a home run or maybe third base, maybe get like Gaga a win or something like that. Driver, because the only reason I resist on saying Driver right now, I think Driver could win for Duel, because this leading man one, he looks like he's the leading man, but in a sense of he's just guiding the story along. Gaga looks like she's going to have the sexy performance, the one that people are talking about, in my opinion, and Leto for supporting. Where I think Driver, much like Christian Bale in The Fighter, was the talk of that movie. In Last Duel, I could see his performance as this piece of shit guy that, like, if he does a good job being the piece of shit, but tries to convince you that he is innocent, that's award worthy if he could pull it off. And we know Driver can. It's just what else is out there. And plus, if that movie is a little bit too controversial, they might tiptoe away from it, because I think with us being in the kind of Me Too era, that movie sinks or swims really strong. I think it could fall on its face and people take it to task for a lot of stuff, but then it could do really well. And people say it really emphasizes some of the problems we're even going through today. And that's tough. Like, look at Black Klansman. I think that did that, right? So, House Gucci, I cannot wait. That's a day one, as long as my fucking work doesn't decide to call me in on a night. But I will be seeing that and reviewing that 100%. I cannot wait. So, yeah, that's everything I think for today. I'll do a quick check of the Twitter news feed, but I don't think anything else is like broken that's worth talking about or anything. Yeah, no, don't think so. No, we did it all. We did it, fam. So yeah, I'm going to do a get a review Green Knight at some point. There'll be another newscast, I'll review Squad, and then yeah, my plan is kind of do like 2 to 3 newscasts depending on the week. Actually, you know what? I'll probably take that back. I'll probably do 2 newscasts. You got Marvel's What If, and then in August we got like Free Guy coming out. We got Don't Breathe. We got Reminiscence. Oh my goodness! So it's probably gonna get 2 newscasts for me, a What If, and a movie review. 4 times Travis, 4 times glory. Thank you everyone, honestly, for, and it's probably because it's daytime, people are free, some people have the holiday off as well. Thank you for Patreon, thank you for live chat. That makes it a lot easier as far as it feels like you guys are stepping in for Kirklin, Jessica, Taylor, or Dylan, because it's like, oh, if I say something wrong or have something on a question, you throw it at me. So you guys made the cast a lot better. So obviously, lots of the next times I'll have to do it when it's like nighttime at night. But that's why if you join Patreon, just send me it before, because that like creates a conversation. So just, a big thank you to everybody. Now we're at the end credits. The Travis and GeekVerse thing is just a joke. I'm not actually I'm not there's a holiday. So you guys don't have a holiday. I wasn't sure. I swear I thought Chris said something about there being a holiday, and I thought, oh, they have it too. But I'm gonna look. It's probably gonna like BC Day or something. Let's see. It is. It's British Columbia Day here. It's also Natal Day. It's Civic Holiday. It's New Brunswick Day. It's Saskatchewan Day, and it's Terry Fox Day. Shout out to Terry Fox. Who are those people? Yeah, they're gone, Carl. It's Travis and GeekVerse now. They may never come back, and then it's just us, Then I'll have to start hiring you guys to like fill in for them, But yeah, so it's BC Day here. I still work because that's how the hospital, like our healthcare system, like where I am, works. It's like the days. It's a boring conversation. Either way, I work tonight. So that's why I did this. So a big thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everyone on Patreon that support us and send in those questions. I promise when you hear from me next, it'll not be boring. The Era of Travis continues.